What a rollercoaster week that was. We had Pep Roulette striking big with the defenders and Sterling all on the bench. We had Salah coming back into form. We had Son blanking. And then Bamford, who we all thought was out of form, decided to return 15 points. But in this weekly video, as we always do, we'll have a look back to the previous game week, then look ahead to game week 22, which starts on Tuesday. My transfer thought, my captaincy shout, and then how my team will line up for that game week. But let's get straight into the video. So let's start off by having a look at my Game Week 21 transfers and see if they paid off. Well, actually, I made no transfers ahead of Game Week 21. I couldn't quite decide on what I wanted to do. I wanted Harry Kane, he then got injured, so I decided the best thing to do was roll my free transfer and take 2 transfers into Game Week 22. So how did that mean that my team performed as I went in with the same team? Now, as many of you know, it was the week of Pep Roulette, and we'll see how that impacted me. In goal, Martinez back to his best, so we were underwhelmed by his performance last week with just 1 point against Burnley, but a very lucky, I have to say, 10-pointer against Southampton. A goal ruled out in the last minute for what can only be described as a very dodgy offside call, but 10 points nonetheless with 3 bonus points and 1 save point. Into my defence, so this is where things start to go badly. Robertson losing his clean sheet so late on to West Ham. Will I ever get another clean sheet for my Liverpool defender? I feel like I've had him for so long and all he's ever done is return 2 points for me. Cancelo returning 0, so my vice captain returned 0. I actually only had enough defenders to field 2 as I had Cancelo and Mitchell all on my bench. And Chilwell was the third one, all of which were benched in Game Week 22, and Kufal came in with just 1 point, last on my bench, but he had to play against Liverpool due to the amount of rotation that we saw. So no points for my defence at all, but very happy with Martinez in goal. Into the midfield now, again, it was actually a very disappointing display. So Gundogan returning just 3, so after such a big return last week, it is okay that he got a blank, but let's fingers crossed that he can return to some of the form we've seen recently in Game Week 22. Salah finally coming back into form. He got 2 goals, maximum bonus points, returning 15 points for me. Although most people owning him, it did very little for my rank, but still happy that he's back on form and we can hopefully captain him in the upcoming game weeks. Captain Son next. Oh dear, 2 points. We're double to 4. Tottenham looked so poor in Game Week 21, I have to admit. I thought he'd be the most attacking player, which he probably was, but he was pretty anonymous like most of the Spurs attacking players. Without Harry Kane, I will not be putting the armband on Son again until Harry Kane returns. And last of all, we have Fernandes, who blanks again. He's not been particularly brilliant in recent game weeks. Another blank here, as I said, against Arsenal, but the introduction of Pogba is definitely having an impact on his output. Fingers crossed he can start returning to form. I do think that the change of system isn't quite working for Manchester United, but let's wait and see what happens. And into the forward line, so Watkins returning 2. It could have been more against Southampton. He did have a chance or 2 in the first half, but it's Patrick Bamford is the man of the hour. 15 points for Bamford, a goal, 2 assists for Bamford in Game Week 21. Very happy with him here. Everyone was thinking it's time to sell, but now it looks like he's definitely here to stay. Season keeper at the moment, so very happy with Bamford. And then Brewster, 2-pointer, came off my bench. To be honest, it's 2 points instead of 1, so very happy that Brewster got 2 this week. Against Manchester City, I wouldn't have expected anything more. So how did that impact my team overall? It gave me a game week score of 57 points, a game week rank of 2.3 million, moving my overall score up to 1,276. It gave me a very small red arrow from 28,000 down to 30,000 and a half. So a very small red arrow, especially given that I only put out 10 players. If I'd have put out 1 more player, it probably would have been a flat grey arrow. So happy enough with my Game Week 21, but fingers crossed that Game Week 22 can be better. Hopefully a captaincy return for once and we can push up with those green arrows. So, taking a quick look at my FPL Cup match that I'm still in for Game Week 21. So, if I qualified, I'd be one of just 3% of FPL managers left in the FPL Cup. So, as you know, I scored 57 points. The big talking point was, of course, Patrick Bamford and Mo Salah with their 15 pointers this game week. My opponent returned just 33 points. Now, I was very fortunate that he left both Patrick Bamford and Martinez on his bench. That is 25 points that would actually made him beat me by just 1 point if both of them have been included in both his scores. But I am through to the next round, so fingers crossed I can get an easier opponent than what this looked on paper, or they can continue making bad benching decisions like Souček and Benteke last week and Martinez and Bamford this week. But we're through to the next. So moving on to Game Week 22 now, the most important part, and my potential transfers for Game Week 22. So let's start by having a look at my potential transfers out. The first one is Ben Chilwell. Now he seems to have lost his place in that Chelsea side. Marcos Alonso played, they got a clean sheet as well as him scoring a goal. So that attacking threat playing at left wing back for Alonso is higher than Chilwell. So Chilwell definitely won't be playing every week after this. So I don't want a rotation prone defender, so I will be looking to sell Chilwell this week. Next up, Mitchell. Again, we saw Patrick Van Aanholt return to the starting lineup. Now, is this just a rest for Mitchell? We'll have to wait and see. But again, I don't want rotation-prone defenders in my team, especially as I plan towards my bench boost in Game Week 26. So Mitchell will probably have to be replaced, even though he offers great value at just 3.9 million. Next up, we have Brewster. So again, this would just be a change of formation to a 3-4-3 to bring in maybe Antonio or someone like that. But we'll get into my targets in just a minute. But with that bench boost in Game Week 26 still likely for me, I will need to upgrade Brewster, as he will only return 1 or 2 points when he gets that game. And finally, Saka. I'll have to wait on the injury news for him, but he was injured in Game Week 21, which meaning he couldn't play against Manchester United, so we'll have to wait and see. But I'm quite happy to hold on to him, especially if he is available to play in Game Week 22 and onwards, because he's been a great asset for me. And in terms of the transfers in, so the first one we look would be John Stones. Of course, he got rested or benched, depending on how you want to look at it in Game Week 21. I do expect him to come back into the Manchester City starting lineup. They have a good fixture in Game Week 22, as well as those double game weeks coming up. So Stones is definitely still a target for me as a replacement for Ben Chilwell. Harry Kane, another one. I still have him on my potential transfers in. We've heard that he's probably likely to be back for Game Week 24 against Manchester City, so maybe I'll look to bring him in after this game week in replace of Brewster. A big upgrade there, but he's still on my potential transfers in for when he comes back fit. Next up, we have Mikel Antonio of West Ham. So he did look dangerous against Liverpool in Game Week 21, but no returns there. But he is having a nice run of fixtures now with Aston Villa and a few of the new promoted teams in the next couple of game weeks. So definitely someone I'm looking to target, and at his price, he will offer great value. And finally, we have Harvey Barnes, who scored again in Game Week 21. Leicester look really good, but it is Barnes and Maddison in particular who are the ones that stand out. Now, Barnes has slightly more goal threat and assist potential than Maddison, who has been outperforming his numbers. So Barnes is definitely the one that I will look to target. And at just 7 million, he offers great value in my FPL team. So this means that those are the potential transfers. Just to summarise those, Chilwell, Mitchell, Brewster, Saka are the ones I'm potentially looking to transfer out. John Stones, Harry Kane, Antonio and Barnes are definitely the ones that I'm looking to target. Got some great form and some great fixtures in there for them, so let's try and get them into my team for the upcoming game weeks. So with that all being said, let's take a look at how my team will line up for Game Week 22. Just before we get into the final section of this video is sponsored by Fantasy Football Hub. They have great stats, articles, comparison tools, fixture tickers and so much more. From just £2 a month you can improve your FPL game. There is a link in the description which will give you 15% off. If you are interested, go and check it out. Available online and in the App Store. Enjoy. Now let's get back to the video. Into the Game Week 22 preview. So we start off with what predicted transfers we're likely to make. So at the moment, using my 2 free transfers that I do have available, I think Chilwell to Stones and Brewster to Antonio makes the most sense. It does block off a move to Harry Kane in the future, but Antonio is on such good form and so is Stones, so definitely 2 players that I want to bring in. And Chilwell and Brewster are just causing me headaches every week now, so definitely be looking to transfer them out. So this means, as always, I'll start with Martinez in goal. After that 10-pointer, he is allowed to have a slight dip in form, but with West Ham at home, potentially there is good returns there, although with Antonio coming in, I do expect West Ham to score in this game, so let's hope for some save points for Martinez in Game Week 22. Now, moving on to defenders, so bringing in Stones would mean I'd have the partnership of Stones and Cancelo against Burnley away in Game Week 22. So fingers crossed that they can bring a clean sheet and Cancelo can bring some of that attacking threat we've seen from him, especially in that Game Week 20 against Sheffield United where he just tore it up. Robertson has a Brighton at home fixture. Now, if they don't keep a clean sheet in this game, I will sell Robertson. I've had enough of having him in my team and him getting so close to the returns but them not coming. He's not been worth that 7.3 million that I'm spending on him at the moment, so I would definitely look to be selling him after this, but he gets one final hurrah against Brighton at home in game week 22. Into the midfield, we've got Gundogan with Burnley away, a good fixture again for them, although Burnley can be difficult to break down. I do feel like a rest is on the cards for Gundogan, but fingers crossed for some returns from him. Salah, a good fixture at home to Brighton, so let's hope that he can get back onto the returns like he was in game week 21. Son with Chelsea at home. Now, Chelsea have looked better and Spurs have looked poor in the most recent weeks, so not quite sure what I will get from Son here, but he's got such high ownership that it won't have too much of an impact. And finally, Bruno Fernandes with Southampton at home. Maybe we can get a return out of him. He hasn't been returning much. He's been playing well, but the attacking returns haven't been there. Southampton have looked good defensively in recent weeks, but fingers crossed that Manchester United and Bruno Fernandes in particular can return to point scoring ways in game week 22. And finally, onto the forward line. So my new look, cheap but firing forward line in Watkins, Bamford, Antonio, probably what feels like the most ideal forward line at the moment. Watkins with West Ham, as does Martinez, a good fixture, although that should be quite a good game, especially both teams are very on form at the moment. Bamford against Everton, who did just concede twice to Newcastle, so let's hope for some returns for Bamford in this game week. And the new signing Antonio goes straight into that starting lineup with Aston Villa away. I do expect West Ham and Aston Villa, both teams, to score in that game, so fingers crossed that Watkins and Antonio can be the ones to do so. It does mean that I leave Saka first on my bench, Kufau second and Mitchell third. I was potentially going to play Saka, but with the transfers that I've made, it does mean that he falls first on my bench. In terms of captaincy, vice captaincy remains on Cancelo, as it seems to do every single game week now. He has such good attacking threat with that clean sheet potential. Manchester City have kept 10 clean sheets in their last 12 Premier League games, which is absolutely crazy, so it will continue to remain on him because he has that attacking threat on top of John Stones. However, the captaincy this week does fall to Mo Salah now, given that he seems to be back on form with goals in the Cup, one ruled out against Liverpool and then 2 in the most recent game. I definitely think he's found his form, he's found his confidence as well, so Mo Salah is my game week 22 captain shout. I have considered others, but like Bruno, if he'd have more form, or Gundogan, but Burnley are difficult to break down, so it is Salah for me for captaincy in game week 22. So that's all we got time for this video. Good luck in game week 22, everyone. I hope it goes well. I hope you get those green arrows and that big captaincy return. If you have enjoyed, as always, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. The best and free way that you can completely support me is just to do those 2 things. So please do those before heading off. But that's all we've got time for. Good luck, and I will see you all next time.